So it took me a really long time to get a pretty decent physique. If you're watching this video, you probably are someone who would describe yourself as an average guy, like I do. I'm not someone who's super genetically gifted or a like rare outlier or anything, and even to this day, I still mess up and still have a lot to learn about dieting and eating right and working out. But I am someone who has learned how to get a pretty decent physique and wanted to share that knowledge with you. All right, so I figured the best way to do this would just kind of be like a little assessment so we can kind of see where you're at right now and where we need to go, because depending on your starting point will determine the path that we want to take. And so for the very first part of the assessment, I want to determine our goals right now. And so just a question for you as the viewer, would you say that if you were to imagine the healthiest version of yourself right now, would that be someone who is leaner than what you are right now? Or would that be someone who is added weight, who is bigger than what you are right now? In other words, would you consider yourself overweight, or would you consider yourself underweight? Because depending on where you're starting at is going to determine where we want to go from there. So I'll start with the overweight person. This is where I struggle the most because I've been, I would say, overweight the majority of my life. I've never really struggled with being underweight. But essentially, if we're overweight, then what we need to do, as straightforward as this sounds, is we need to eat less calories than what we're burning. We need to start eating less. And if you've watched any of my other videos on my channel, then you already kind of know where I'm going with this in terms of calories in, calories out. But we need to start eating less, because that's actually the only way that we're going to be able to lose weight. There's no way to trick your body around calories. Is we just need to eat less than what we're burning. And so some actionable steps that we can take here would be to eat high satiety and low calorie foods. What I mean by high satiety and low calorie foods would be something that is going to keep you feeling satiated for longer, something that's going to keep you feeling less hungry for longer, but is also lower in calories. That's kind of the sweet spot when it comes to losing weight, because if we can have something that's going to keep you satiated but isn't like a bunch of calories, then that's going to be a really effective way to lose weight. I would say that just a really, really simple, straightforward way to know if something is high satiety and low calorie is just the amount of protein that it has in it. Protein keeps you satiated longer than any other sort of macronutrient, longer than fat, longer than carbohydrates, compared to the calories that is in it. So I would say the most bang for your buck is the way you can think about protein. So for the amount of calories that you're going to consume, it'll have the highest level of satiety. And so generally what I've found in terms of keeping myself satiated for the longest period of time is just eating a crap ton of protein. Which that might be the most bro thing ever, but I swear by it, it works. When I'm in a cutting phase, I eat a lot of protein. I eat a lot of protein in general, but especially when I'm in a cutting phase, I really try to prioritize protein, because I know that that's what's going to help prevent me from feeling like really super hungry as I get deeper into the cut. So I would say prioritize protein. Try to do things like chicken, ground beef, steak, the normal stuff. You can throw some fish in there too. But this is the one that is like huge, and I'm going to say it, and it might not sound like a huge thing, but I swear if you like actually absorb this and live by this, then it'll be the thing that makes the difference. And that tip would be to get used to the feeling of hunger. If you're someone like me who has struggled with eating too much and being overweight, then it's very likely that you don't really understand what it actually means to feel hungry. And so there's something called a craving, and then there's something called hunger. And when you're overweight, typically you conflate those two things. So let's just define those things really quick. Cravings are when you want to eat something because it sounds good to you. Like if I'm laying on the couch and I want to eat some ice cream or eat, some cookies because it sounds yummy, that is a craving. A good example of how to think about cravings is like the desire for a dessert after you ate dinner. If you just ate dinner, it's likely that you're not hungry anymore. But if you want dessert, that's because you're craving. You're having a craving. And so that's what a craving is. It's the desire for food, generally something sweet, because your body is pretty susceptible to sugar addiction. Most people are addicted to sugar and don't even realize it nowadays. But that's what a craving is just a desire for food, regardless of whether you're hungry or not. Hunger is the actual sensation. It's when you're basically a chemical in your brain, I believe it's called ghrelin, is released, and it's like a hunger signal. It's literally your stomach telling your brain that you are low in calories and deficient in calories and need to eat food. That's when you actually feel the sensation of hunger. A lot of times when you're hungry, genuinely hungry, you'll feel like a little bit sluggish, maybe like a little weaker, and that's when your stomach will growl. You guys probably know what it feels like to be hungry, but that's genuine hunger. And so if you're overweight, understand the difference between craving and hunger is actually really important. And get used to the actual feeling of hunger. Be okay with hunger. And the best way that I can say to be okay with the feeling of hunger is don't view it as a bad thing. I remember for a long time, if I felt hungry, it was like that was a bad thing. Like I needed to fix that. I need to go eat something so I'm not hungry anymore. But when you're on a cut, remember that hunger is the surest sign of progress. It quite literally is a signal of a calorie deficit. It's your body signaling to your brain that you are in a calorie deficit. And hey, that's literally what a cut is. It's a calorie deficit. And so when I feel hunger now during a cut, I think, okay, well, that's a good thing. That means that I'm literally making progress. So I don't act on the impulse to immediately eat because I view it as actually a positive thing, not a negative thing. So that's just a little mindset tip is view hunger as a good thing when you're in a cutting period. And then just like a general rule of thumb is you should feel a little bit hungry at bedtime. The surest way that I know, other than literally writing down my calories, but other than that, the surest way that I know that I'm in a calorie deficit, at least for me personally, maybe it's different for you, but for me, when I am going to bed at night and I feel just a little bit hungry, like, oh man, I could eat right now, I'm a little hungry. That's a very good signal that I know that I'm in a calorie deficit. And then I would say time scale, in terms of healthy weight loss, we just want to shoot for about 1 to 2 pounds a week, nothing too crazy. I think 1 to 2 pounds a week is very doable. So that's actually a good thing, right? Like we're not trying to lose 5-10 pounds a week. That's insane. Just 1 to 2 pounds a week is really, really doable. It means that you don't have to starve yourself. You can be in just a pretty slight calorie deficit and still lose weight and still have a good quality of life. You're not going to feel sluggish or crazy weak or tired like you would if you were, losing way more weight than that. So I'd say 1 to 2 pounds a week is good. A lot of that will also depend on how overweight you are too. If you have a lot of body fat, it could be a lot faster than that. If you have a lot of water weight, it could be faster than that. But I would say that's a general good estimate, 1 to 2 pounds. Now the next thing I want to go over is if you're someone who would consider themselves underweight, meaning that you're trying to get bigger right now. So if you're underweight, then it's kind of the exact opposite of someone who's overweight. Obviously, the goals are kind of flip-flopped. So if you're underweight, that means that we need to start eating more calories than what we're burning. We need to get our body acclimated to consuming more calories. That's the only way that you're going to get bigger is by eating more. Again, just the same way that there's no way to trick your body into losing weight, there's no way to trick your body into gaining weight either. You just simply need to eat more. And so a few actionable steps if you're someone who's underweight is to eat higher calorie foods. In the same way that with someone who is overweight, we'd want to eat high satiety and low calorie foods. Now, if you're underweight, we want to eat high calorie foods, things that are going to provide your body with more energy. So things maybe that are higher in fat, higher in carbs. But again, keep in mind, we still want to eat protein. Protein is the building block of gaining muscle. So we still want to prioritize protein, but we can also eat some things that are higher calorie as well. I would say a good tip if you're someone who struggles to eat more is to drink your calories. Protein shakes and stuff like that is just a really easy way to get some extra protein and some extra calories without like filling yourself up or feeling too full. I think that drinking calories is a good way to gain weight. And then you also want to get used to the feeling of being full, just like how we wanted to get used to the feeling of hunger with someone who's overweight, someone who's underweight. We want to get used to the feeling of eating more food, of being more full than normal. And generally, you know, again, this depends on your metabolism, but you really should not be feeling hungry that often. If you're feeling hungry a lot and you're trying to gain weight, it's very unlikely that you're actually eating enough calories. You really probably shouldn't be feeling too much hunger if you're in a consistent calorie surplus meaning higher than the amount of calories that you're burning, more calories than what your body burns. So that's my advice there. And then again, same time scale, we'd be looking at about 1 to 2 pounds a week. So there's a lot more that goes into this, you know, that you can really get nitty gritty, but I felt like this is a pretty good starting point, just understanding where you need to go if you're overweight or underweight. I hope this video was helpful. I wasn't this is more just an informative video, but you know, I know that when I was starting off on my fitness journey, this could have been really good information. So like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys later. Peace.